individual I would like to introduce next is the person actually responsible for putting this event together and coordinating it. He's a vice chairman of our board of directors. He's also a person that was inspired at a very young age at a place very similar to this. And when he saw a Tesla coil at the age of 9, and then pursued a very successful career in electrical engineering, and was inspired by Nikola Tesla as a young boy. And thanks to his efforts, we also have the world's largest conical Tesla coil behind me. And so I wanted to actually demonstrate that and introduce to you Richard Mathias.
Thank you very much. First of all, I want to apologize for all the problems we've been having with the sound system, but listen, there's a lot of people that were involved in making this successful tonight, and I'd like to acknowledge Andy Marquardt and his staff and many volunteers, so I'd like to give them a applause. Well, this Tesla coil is a dream come true for me. I mean, you hear people getting a hole-in-one, and that's very important to them. This is my hole-in-ones right here. Going back into time, 61 years ago, when I was about 9 years old, I frequented a place called the Griffith Park Observatory up in the Hollywood Hills of Southern California. This is a large museum here, but the Griffith Park Observatory is world-renowned for being one of the biggest observatories for the tourist sort of thing in the world, I think. They had something like 85 million people go through there in the last 70-some years. Their Tesla coil looks just like this, but about maybe a half the capacity. By the way, this is not the largest, it's the most powerful conical coil in the world. There's a big difference. The conical coil is what Nikola Tesla developed early on, and that's the reason we brought the Tesla coil in this configuration. This was built by a fellow by the name of Bill Wysock out of California. He recently renovated the one in Griffith Park Observatory. I go back into time when I was 9 years old, as Andy said. I happened to go up to Griffith Park Observatory with my aunt. I saw this thing take off with the power coming out, looked like a lot of lightning. I decided, hey, I want to build one just like that. So what I did, about 3 or 4 years later, I was about 13, and I built 2 Tesla coils. You may have seen it in the photograph down here earlier. I built this for the science fair in Southern California. It turned out to be quite remarkable. To me it was. It produced about that much spark, but to me that was a lot. We did that, and then I went into the doldrums as far as electricity goes. I got interested in girls and junior high and all that sort of stuff. So I went in the background for a while, but then when I got married to my lovely wife of 50 years, who is right here. By the way, let me introduce my wife, Marilyn Mathias, who is also Professor Sparky. What happened is, after I graduated from high school, I entered the field of engineering. This coil really inspired my interest. I used to go to the Goodwill and buy radials, tear them apart, and make all sorts of things out of them. But then, as I got into junior high, I decided this is the field I really wanted to pursue. So I first went to work for Southern California Edison Company. That's where I met Marilyn, and worked there for a couple, 3 years. And then after that, I had the call to go to Westinghouse Electric. It's sort of ironic. I worked for Westinghouse and General Electric, the same 2 companies as Nikola Tesla. But anyway, I was there about 3 or 4 years. I went to work for Westinghouse for about 6 years, electrical engineering. Then I left and went to work for General Electric of all companies. Wonderful company. Went into power generation, worked there for 30 years. Left Dallas and came up to Hot Springs, Arkansas. And the reason this exists is we came up to Arkansas and to Hot Springs Village, and my wife was busy doing a lot of her things. I just kept sitting home for some reason, not doing too much of anything. Decided I need to do something. And one evening on NBC, I heard that Griffith Park was closing down the observatory for about 3 years and renovating the entire museum, I should say. At that time, I called the director, Mr. Croft, up there and asked him what he was going to do with the Tesla coil. I thought, gee whiz, wouldn't that be nice to bring that Tesla coil to Hot Springs? He says, no, that is the most popular, next to the most popular exhibit we have at the Griffith Park Observatory. But I said, well, then who's doing the renovation of that work? And he recommended Bill Wysock, who lives in Monrovia. Mariel and I flew out there and spent about a half a day with Bill, and I asked him if he would build me a conical Tesla coil like this, and I could bring it to either this museum or the one in Little Rock. Little Rock wanted it really bad, but they had nowhere near the facility of Hot Springs, and not only that, I love this museum, as you can probably tell. So we then commissioned a job with Bill Wysock to build this Tesla coil, and Dallas Ellis built the Faraday cage. You can see around it, that's 2.5 tons of steel, and that protects the public from getting shocked and the radiation coming off of that. So what I'm going to do is light that up. I don't have a lot of time here, but we'll just light it up, give you an idea of what 1.5 volts looks like, and then Marilyn's going to come up and we're going to have a little drawing for the Tesla video. So we'll have a countdown. I'll light it up and we'll go from 10 on down, maybe 5. Let me get the right key here. We have people here at the museum that do a wonderful job. One of them is Kyle that's been running around here. He does a great job demonstrating it, and many others, but I'll go ahead and turn it on now. Just realize the lights will go down. You'll hear a motor start up. That's a spark gap. I won't go into all the details. It's like a distributor. It creates a frequency that's going to be about 85,000 cycles. We're going to produce not only a lot of power, but also a radio signal, but this is going to ground out the radio signal, this large Faraday cage. So we'll do 5,